All right, boom. So look, the title of this video is this: How a man hides behind his muscle. Now, muscle is good. Muscle is beneficial. Muscle within itself is actually a benefit. But when you add in man and the intent of man and the spirit of man, this is where it gets complicated. So here's two examples. You have one, right? One example is you see on Instagram or on YouTube, two people. They're both living lavish lives. They're both entrepreneurs. They're both businessmen in their own right, venture capitalists, whatever. Highly successful, the status, they're respected in their field. On one, you have a person with a good heart, and on the other hand, you have a person with a bad heart. Now, this is what I mean. One who's self-disciplined, self-loving, other one who's self-disciplined in some areas, but really a self-loathing person. Now, behind the scenes, you would never be able to tell the difference between the two because you don't know the intent of somebody's heart. You don't know what's going on in their head, but God knows. And a lot of times what happens is this plays out very frequently. One person's business will fail and it's not sustainable. One person's life will derail. And who do you think it is? It's obviously the person who has, a bad spirit, a bad heart, who is actually kind of evil inside. Whereas the other person, he's a person of conscience. He's always trying to do the right thing. So what's usually going to happen? One person is going to be a little bit more greedy in the deals that he does in his business. Although he's very competitive, sometimes he might try to get over on people, on contracts, or there might be a lot of controversy, not just in his business life, but also in his sex life or in his personal life, his romantic life. He might be a person who cheats on his wife. He might be a person who gets divorced, is in an affair. See, all this stuff tarnishes his reputation. And the goals in which he set out, it actually ends out to bite him in the butt. So what happens a lot of times? A lot of times, the man loses his wife. He loses half his money. His reputation is tarnished. The other man, you probably don't even hear about him in any news. There's no controversy about him because he's actually doing things in the right way behind the scenes. So now, how does that relate to muscle? Okay, this is how it relates. If your heart is not in the right place, then the method as to which you do things, even though you might be successful in it, it's very, very unlikely that it will be sustainable. So, when you look at a man who's in shape, a lot of times people tend to think these things. First off, okay, he's probably more attractive than he was in the past. That might be true. But that's just a superficial thing. Just because you're more attractive, that doesn't mean you can actually keep the person who you attract. That doesn't mean that the person who you do attract, you're the right person for them and that you're a good person for them or you're not a toxic person. So it's almost like this. Let me fix the camera a little bit right here. So it's almost like this. You meet some, let's just say a guy meets a girl, right? And he's like, wow, she's really pretty. Then when she opens her mouth, you kind of get this red flag feeling in your bones, right? You're like, I don't know, man. The way she talks, or like how she curses, or she's almost kind of abrasive, or she has an attitude, or she's always kind of has a disagreeing spirit. And it's going to kind of make you unsettled. And later on, you find out that she has a very rocky history. She has a lot of guy friends. She's kind of like disrespectful, or she's always argumentative. You're going to get rid of her if you're smart. A lot of men don't nowadays, but I'm saying, see, her body and her being in shape, it didn't really matter. So in the same way with a man, a woman walks up to a man, she's like, wow, he's got the nice shape, my type of body type that I'm into. But when I speak to him, he's like very shy and kind of like timid, and he doesn't really assert his position in what he wants. He hasn't really asked me out. He's kind of like feminine. She's going to be unattracted. She's eventually going to be like, wow, this is kind of like repulsive. Even though I was attracted with him at first, now he's kind of repelling me away. Unless you say the woman goes into a relationship with this man. Oh, wow, I never really knew just how much of a pushover he is and just how much of a spine he lacked. She eventually grows to resent him and kind of like be unattracted to him just naturally by the way he acts. See, he was attractive, but it didn't necessarily matter. It was all superficial. He might have been the type of person who I see in the gym a lot. They hide behind their muscles. Now, what else might you think of when you see a person who is in shape? He has his life together. If he's in shape, he's got to be disciplined in other areas. That might be true, but it's generally not always the case. See, a lot of men are going to have a lot of fatal flaws. They're going to have vices that they can't get rid of, or they're just going to be in spots in their life that they're in like a rut. So, for example, I'll give you me for an example. For a large point of my life, I was not where I wanted to be. I was kind of like drifting around. I was doing what I thought other people wanted me to do, just so they would leave me alone. But I wasn't doing things that I thought was going to be for me. I wasn't disciplined in other areas. So just because a person who's muscular and they're disciplined in one area, they could be totally trash in another area. So in a lot of parts of my life, I understand that I lacked total discipline in other areas. It was almost like I was a fat person in those ways, or I didn't meet my goals in those ways. And what was I doing in a way? I was overcompensating the fact that I was in shape, and I was kind of relying on it, leaning on it, using it as a crutch. You see what I'm saying? I'm hiding behind it. And trust me when I say I'm not the only one who does this in the gym, because you get to talking to people in the gym. You get to see just how insecure people are, especially men. And women also, but we're not talking about them for right now. So this is another one. You look at this dude and you're like, wow, man, he's in shape. He's probably confident. No. Most men are not confident. And this is what I mean. Going back to the attraction thing, it's one thing to attract a woman, but it's another thing to keep a woman. See, I had to learn this the hard way in my past relationships is I did not know how to keep a woman. But here's how I messed up. And here's how most men mess up. Attracting a woman and learning the technique as to what you do to woo a woman, it's technical. But learning how to keep a woman is more philosophical. It's more principled. It's not so much the methodology. It's about who you are as a person, who you are becoming. See, I can pull a really nice girl at that club, or, I mean, God forbid I was ever at the club, but just for an example, I can pull, or better yet, I can find and go on a date with a woman and get her on a date with me, or I might even be able to sleep with this woman. I'm not encouraging you guys to do that, but I'm saying, what is the glue that keeps the relationship together? It is me. Now, what do I mean by that? Women are not going to be in relationships, so they're not going to have healthy relationships with men who act like women, men who are feminine, men who are agreeable, men who don't assert their position, men who don't lead, men who don't have a take it or leave it mentality. See, if you're not able to develop that take it or leave it mentality, then you are not fit to be in a relationship. Now, a lot of men use their biceps to get the most attention on Instagram or on Tinder or whatever dating app you want to say, or they dress all provocatively as men trying to show off the muscles they have. It's almost like, why do you have to advertise it? Why can't it just be? Why can't you just be in shape? And why can't people just automatically notice that from you? Why does your shirt have to be that tight? You know what I'm saying? Why do you have to shave your arms and your legs so that people can see the vascularity in your muscles? You're doing too much. You're overcompensating. So, the last one, a person who's like in shape, you're going to say, oh, wow, he must really value himself. And this is where it gets tricky, because don't conflate or confuse value with self-aggrandizement, or value with selfishness, or value with conceit. Now, a person can be perceived as valuing themselves and really caring about themselves at first, but once you get to know him, you realize it's actually just selfish. He actually doesn't care about anybody else but himself. He's actually not considerate of others and their feelings. He's actually not loving. He's more self-loathing, and he acts that out by his pain. He's now hurting me. See, that's not a person who values himself, because if you value yourself, you value others. You're honest with others. You are upfront with others. You don't play games. See? Now, a person who values themselves, they're going to value their time. They're going to value their money. They're going to value the energy that they give to other people. They're going to value the agreements that they have with whoever they cooperate with, whether that be in a relationship or business. But that doesn't always come with the man who has muscles. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because we live in a day and age where the benefits of having a nice body, being in shape, having a nice car, being rich, and all that stuff, everybody chases this without searching inward to the inward man. I want to be successful here. I want to be successful when no one's looking. I want to be proud of myself, independent of everyone else's audience or everyone else's eyes. And when you get that situated, then when you're morally congruent, everything else will kind of fall in place because it starts from here. But a lot of times we are all looking to externally be successful without being inwardly successful. So I'm probably going to be making more videos about this topic. Thanks for watching. Peace.